Welcome back to Finally Got Around to, the show that will tell you all about lots of really amazing indie games. And today I am recording this the last day of Steam Next Fest. I want to talk about some of the games that I played and some of the games that I think, after playing the demo, I think are worth keeping an eye on. So let's just jump right into it. There's a lot of games to get through today, so I'm going to go a little bit quick. 30 Birds is a story about Lantern City, which is on the verge of disaster. Their bird-like goddess has been kidnapped by an evil scientist, and you as the player have to kind of collect a flock, per se, of 30 birds to kind of help you track down this bird god. What really struck me about this game was the style where you walk to the edge and you literally walk around the corner like you're on a cube. Then also just the actual kind of like papery art style. It's kind of part of the lore as well, because the world is basically made of all these lanterns, and that's why it's called Lantern City. Or maybe it's just the city is made of lanterns, but you get what I'm saying. So it does feel like you're actually walking around on a lantern, and it's got all these amazing colors, artwork, and kind of fantasy elements that are really fun to explore and kind of strange and weird and different from any other game that I played really during this whole Next Fest. So if you get the chance to try this game, I'd recommend it. The links to every game you see in this video will be in the description. At the time that I'm recording this, all of the demos are still available to play. I don't know how long that'll last, so I'd say if something catches your eye, go check it out as soon as you can. But let's move on to the next game. Coach a sports team of beasties in Beastieball, a turn-based volleyball RPG where you collect and build a team of adorable and well-designed beasties. This one I have probably played the most out of all of these demos. There is a demo on Steam right now, but over the course of this year, there's been 3 playtests which are building up to what is supposed to be a release before, an early access release before the end of this year. I'm really looking forward to playing more of this game. It's got lots of great designs. It's got some actual interesting kind of tactical battles when you have like these 4 squares to move about within the volleyball court. So this is a really fun game, and I highly recommend you check it out if it looks interesting to you. Between the art style, the gameplay, and everything, it's definitely a big highlight for me. Moving on to the next game. So, building relationships. Experience life as a house in this silly adventure game. Play as a building as you roll, jump, and wave dash across a cozy island. Meet eligible structures, romance them, and experience a bizarre yet oddly familiar story. This is probably the strange one. I don't know, there's a lot of strange indie games out there these days, but this is definitely on the top of the list. You play as a house, and you actually go out and romance other buildings, other structures. And as you saw just there, you do also... There is a fishing minigame, but of course it's not actually fish, it's cars. So you're catching things like common carp and other fish-related puns and car-related puns. It's very unique, and if this looks at all interesting to you, the demo, you can complete the demo in a pretty quick amount of time, get a sense for it, and get an understanding of just how strange this game is. I highly recommend it. On to the next one. Dunjungle is a 2D action-packed roguelite with a monkey hero protecting the jungle from a rise of corrupted power. This is one that caught my eyes before the Next Fest, and I was able to play the demo. It's still available now. Check out the link in the description. It ended up being a lot of fun. It definitely is not the easiest game to get the hang of, but it's pretty fun, and like deciding on power-ups every so often adds a lot of variety and strategy to each playthrough. I love the art style as well, and it's not afraid to have a good sense of humor too, which is really fun. If this looks like this kind of like 2D dungeon crawl roguelite energy is something that catches your eye, I highly recommend checking this out, because I think if you like Spelunky, definitely check this out. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Knights in Tight Spaces. You will use tactical movement and build a deck of cards to fight your way through outlaws, supernatural forces like skeletons, and explore this kind of fantasy world with, you have knights, you have archers, and then there's also sorcerers, magicians, stuff like that. But the kind of the core concept of this is that you're in very tight spaces. So normally a tactics game might have a big sprawling field for you to explore, but every combat in this is going to be in a pretty small grid. So you're going to be moving, a couple of squares at a time, and you have to, every movement counts. Every decision you make is important. And it's not easy, I gotta say. After trying the demo a little myself, I got through a good amount of it, but I had to try a couple of times. It definitely takes some getting used to and some learning, and don't expect to crush this right away. It has some roguelite elements in that you kind of pick a character and then try to progress through more and more challenging maps. Then you hit a boss, and you can kind of add to your deck, add to your team, and kind of continue from there. But if you fail at any point, you do have to start from the beginning. So if a challenging replayable roguelite tactics deck builder is something up your alley, I highly recommend checking this one out. It's got some serious style and quality to it. This next game is a little bit different. It is kind of a point-and-click puzzle adventure. It's described as kind of slapstick with a little bit of humor in the writing, surprises, twists, mystery, all that good stuff. Obviously some intense action, as you can see. But yeah, it's a pretty fun little demo. It's called Loco Motive, or Locomotive, but it has a space in between to emphasize that. When I was playing the demo, the majority of the time was through the eyes of one character, but there are going to be 3 total characters that you can play when the full game releases. I believe it's supposed to be releasing before the end of this year, so we will see when that exact date comes about. But there's lots to explore, lots of little details to find and see, characters to interact with, choices to make that will affect the larger story, I imagine. This one's definitely interesting. If this looks like your style of game, your kind of interesting experience, I highly recommend checking it out. It's one that stood out to me. And now we can go ahead and move on to the next game. Another great demo from this Steam Next Fest was Rift of the Necrodancer. This is I believe, a sequel or so? Yes, there's Crypt of the Necrodancer, and then there was Cadence of Hyrule, which is kind of similar but a little different. A rhythm game where monsters are kind of coming down the what do they call it? Like you gotta. It's a rhythm game. It's got great artwork. I had a lot of fun with it. I found it a little kind of challenging, and I think for me that's just how I handle rhythm games. It takes me a little while to kind of get in the groove. So that was kind of my experience with this one. But if rhythm games are something that is interesting to you, I think this is definitely a demo to try, because it is still on Steam right now. And keep an eye out for the full release, because this is definitely going to be one of the higher quality rhythm games that I've seen out there in a long time. And while the demo that I got to play was just kind of focusing on this monsters coming down the track, it does seem like from the trailer that there's going to be lots of other slightly different styles of play. So I'll be curious to see more of that when the full game eventually releases. Not sure when that will be, but I'm keeping it on my wish list. Moving on to the next game. Robots at Midnight is a action RPG kind of boss battler exploration game. It's got this very almost, I want to say, like retro, kind of like almost like a 1980s movie style to it, which is really enjoyable. The boss battles are actually kind of challenging, which I wasn't really expecting. There is kind of a pretty intense dodge and parry mechanics in this game, and I'm very curious to see more about this when eventually the full game releases, which I don't know when that will be. It doesn't even say that it'll be out later this year, which a lot of these games say. But I'm hoping that I get some more info on that soon, because it's definitely a game that I want to explore the world of more and see what it has to offer. Because if the combat and the gameplay match up to how interesting the story and world is, then I think this is going to be one of the more interesting indie games that we've seen in a while. So yeah, that's Robots at Midnight. Let's move on to the next one. Spilled is possibly one of the games that I had the most fun with during this Next Fest. You're piloting a little boat trying to clean up this ocean. It's a recycle, you earn coins, upgrade your boat, and repeat. And you kind of unlock new areas as you clean up other areas, and then you continue to kind of go about your business. It's a very methodical, very relaxing, cozy game. There's lots of exploring to do, lots of cool worlds to see, little items to find and pick up, which I haven't really figured out exactly what those are yet. But I think this is one that's a lot of fun. I think I only beat the demo in maybe like 20 minutes or so, but I can see myself easily just sitting through this game over the course of like a couple of hours and just having a great time. It reminds me a lot of actually Terra Nil, which is one of my favorite indie games from last year. And I'm very excited to see where this game goes past the demo, in an hour or two, like what kind of other challenges and puzzles and upgrades there are to explore. As you can see, there's little spots of oil that you can kind of gather up, but then there's also clumps of plastic bottles and stuff that you have to gather as well, and that takes a little more finesse to kind of get those within your little arm and then corral them towards the recycling center. So yeah, this is a really fun one. I'd check it out. The demo is still on Steam. Super easy to play, super quick to get through, get a good experience, and figure out if this is a kind of game that interests you. Yeah, let's move on to the next game. Defend the Earth from an alien invasion in the ultimate fusion of deck building and grid-based tactics. StarVaders is maybe one of the more popular demos of this Steam Next Fest, and after playing it, I can understand why. It's very roguelite, and it's kind of a simple but fun art style, and the mechanics are pretty addictive. It's simple. You kind of move back and forth, move around, take shots, and all you're trying to do is prevent the alien invaders from reaching the bottom 3 rows. And there's all kinds of different things, like the blob that will split into more pieces. There's things that have shields, so you need to hit them twice. There's bombs, there's guns. Then you also unlock other mechs, other pilots, and stuff like that. I tried one that was only available during the Steam Next Fest, where your play style is really to kind of charge forward and get into like melee combat with the aliens rather than like keep your distance and fire shots. So I'm very curious to see what else this game has in store. Not planned for a release until later next year, so it'll be a little bit there'll be a little bit of a wait to actually get the full game. But thankfully, the demo is very replayable, and there's lots to experience. And with, of course, it being a roguelite, there's all kinds of variety and ways to change how you're attacking the challenges in front of you. So definitely worth checking out. Even though it's a demo, there's still a lot to experience. So I highly recommend checking out the Steam page and give it a try. But yeah, we'll move on to the next one. Speaking of demos that have a lot of replayability, this is Sulfur. It is described as a modern, old-school action-adventure, very roguelite as well, where you're kind of delving into these dungeons and caves, fighting off a lot of goblins, but also lots of other enemies as well, finding upgrades to your guns, changing things, keeping track of all your inventory, stuff like that. It's got a very signature art style, I would say, but it still also has those weird, gory, disgusting elements that you would expect from like kind of a violent shooter game. There's a lot of depth to Sulfur, and it's really fun to kind of explore it, see what weird things you can find and what kind of upgrades and stuff you can explore. They've released some info about the amount of people that have played the demo, and it's a lot of people who have put in a lot of hours. I think it was something like the average player put in over 3 hours into this demo, which like is honestly enough for like some games aren't even that long when they fully release. So if this seems like the kind of game that you could sink hours into, definitely try the demo and see what you can put into it. It is still available on Steam, although the early access launch is happening on October 28th. And if I was to guess when a demo might not be there anymore, that I feel like is a a strong possibility that when they release the early access, they might stop having the demo. So if you want to get in a free trial per se of Sulfur, I'd highly recommend getting on Steam as soon as you can and checking it out. Link will be in the description. Embark on a challenging pilgrimage across a mystical world using your powers of astral projection in this beautiful, heartfelt game called TetherGeist. I have played the playtest of this game, and I got to meet the developers of it at PAX West. They were great guys, and this game is a lot of fun. It is a precision platformer with a beautiful kind of pixelated art style with great character designs, and there's all kinds of interesting challenges and ways to move about the world, and I cannot get enough of this game, between the creativity of the world building and the creativity of the kind of platforming challenges. This is a game that I am definitely keeping my eyes on for a long time to come, and going to be playing as much of it as I can when I can. They did just have success with their Kickstarter. It became fully funded, I believe, within the last week or so. So the game is on its way. The full game has, reached its funding, and I think there's still like most of a month left in their complete Kickstarter campaign. So maybe they'll hit a bunch of stretch goals and stuff like that. They've also uploaded lots of great videos on their YouTube channel about the creation of this game. So if that is something that interests you, I'd highly recommend checking that out. But if anything, just go check out the demo on Steam right now and give this game a try, because I'm pretty confident you won't regret it. This is like one of the games that really got me into precision platformers as a game, because it's just that fun. But okay, I'm gonna stop gushing so much and I'll move on to the next game. Only a couple games left in the video. Will you unravel the mystery that hides in this train? A lot of surprises and colorful characters are waiting for you in this first-person retro adventure game called Trip. I played the demo for Steam Next Fest in maybe about half an hour, maybe less. This is a very interesting, it almost feels kind of like some kind of strange time loop where you enter the doors of this subway car. There are a handful of other characters to chat with and interact with. And then as you make your way to the other side, you go in one door, come back in the other side, and things have changed slightly. You do this a couple of times and you start to kind of gather some clues as to what is happening and how to proceed. And I had a lot of fun exploring it. It's definitely very strange. The art style is really cool. I could just stare out the window at all those fish jumping, keeping up with the train for a long time. The characters are well designed and interesting to interact with, and I'm curious to see how they change through each kind of loop. There is definitely a larger mystery at the center of this game, and I have no idea what's going on, but I'm curious to see what I can figure out. Yeah, this is definitely one that you need to play to truly experience. I highly recommend it. Moving on to the next game. Learn to embrace life as you wait. While Waiting is a transformative adventure exploring the art of waiting. Each scenario that the game presents you with has no necessary challenges, nothing you need to do, only just to wait. If you simply sit and do nothing, the game will progress. But during each scenario, you also have all kinds of engaging comedic things to interact with, which can vary from kicking a can into a trash can, pulling luggage off of a conveyor belt, or stealing a hat of a strange little turtle guy. The game kind of progresses from childhood through adulthood, and there's lots of different experiences to try out. But this is a particularly interesting game to me because I've been thinking a lot this year about what it means to make a comedy game. And to me, this game is very humorous and kind of plays on players' expectations and weird scenarios for them to get into just from being curious. And I think that is a really underexplored style of video game. This also, I mentioned building relationships earlier in the video, which I think also kind of falls into a similar style of kind of humor, playing on expectations, doing things a little differently. So this is definitely one that I'm keeping my eye on. I want to see the full game, experience the full story when it eventually launches, which I think will be early next year, but I can't really say for certain. Definitely just put this one on your wish list. Link to the Steam page, of course, is in the description. Wilmot Works It Out is a puzzle building game about completing beautiful images and then using them to decorate the walls of your house. You play as a little square with a face who just slides around on the floor. You answer the door to collect packages full of little puzzle pieces, and it's your job to arrange them to create unique and charming images. And once they are complete, stick them on the wall and kind of create your own gallery of lovely, strange images. This is one of the most relaxed puzzle games that I've experienced in a long time. And if that's something that you're looking for, I can't recommend this one highly enough. It's simple, it's cozy, it's effective, and it's the last game that I'm going to be talking about in this video. So, highly recommend checking out Wilmot Works It Out, which will be releasing in a few days by the time that I've posted this video. If not, maybe by the time I get this up, it might be coming out tomorrow. So if this looks cool, check out the demo, check out the whole game. I don't think it will steer you wrong. So thank you for watching this video. If there are any great Steam Next Fest demos that you tried during this week of chaos and demos, let me know, because I would love to hear about what I missed. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. But goodbye.